Hey, what's up, all you loyal listeners, rabid readers, and all around fucking nerds? I'm your humble host, Troy, and we have another episode of S.H.E.I.L.D. Atrocities. Today is a good one. It's this major Marvel event that pretty much is a cornerstone, a milestone, however you want to call it. Uh, Today's episode is about Secret Invasion. It's a kind of almost like a Cold War story in the MCU. It's not like any other MCU story that at least I have read before, where it's like, oh, you have the good guys and the bad guys and stuff. The whole point of this is mistrust, misalignment, and confusion. And I don't know, it's really good. It's written by Michael Bendis, who, if you know, is a pioneer in Marvel. I don't love everything he's done, but this was when he was in his like absolute heyday. Just before this, chronologically, was Civil War, so you had a lot of fallout happening in the Marvel universe. You have Captain America is dead. You have multiple heroes in hiding. You have like sort of like tons of different teams. You have the Avengers, right, which is, well, not the Avengers you know. There's the seat-ridden Avengers, which is Luke Cage, Wolverine, Spider-Man, everyone who basically went against Iron Man at this point. You then have the Initiative, which is a lot of new or younger superheroes that weren't around during Civil War, and they're all in training and stuff like that. One notable one is Hasty Lane, who's from the Young Avengers, which the Young Avengers had sort of just started hitting their stride too when Civil War had happened. They're a main team in this secret invasion storyline as well. You have the Mighty Avengers, where you have or the New Avengers. I don't know what they're called. Honestly, there were so many different Avengers story comics happening at the same time for this. I definitely did not read every tie-in. Like, I'm just flat out letting you know it's a huge thing, but I don't think you need to know every tie-in to really enjoy the story. That being said, it is worth noting the state of the Marvel universe, because, like I said, you had Civil War and you have all this fallout and stuff and all these different teams. But specifically for the Secret Invasion storyline, you need to know two things. One was the new Avengers storyline, called the Initiative, that was all about like new teams trying to come together. You had Doctor Strange leading these uh like Secret Avengers on a mission, and what happened was a character named Echo, which, if you read Daredevil comics, you would know who that is. Same way Daredevil is blind, Echo is deaf, but she also sort of has these superpowers. She's healed and resurrected by Elektra, who's another Daredevil, alum, let's call it. And at the end of that storyline, Echo kills Elektra, and you find out that Elektra is a Skrull. Now, that's the immediate thing that's important also going into this, but there is some backstory that's needed. The Kree-Skrull War that happened fucking forever. It's probably Marvel's first major cosmic event. I have not done an episode on it up to this point. I probably will one day. I thought it was okay, but it's important because it's the first time that they really go into the Kree, go into the Skrull, and go into why the Skrulls care about Earth. I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically it ends with the Skrulls. You have Marvel, you have Scarlet Witch is in it, you have a couple different heroes. This is like really early on. I think it was in the 60s or something. Fast forward, tons of years, 30, 40 years maybe, Brian Michael Bendis is writing a story called The Illuminati. Now, the first issue of it basically says how the team is Charles Xavier of the Mutants, Dr. Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Namor, the Submariner and the King of Atlantis, uh, Iron Man, Iron Man, you know, and I think that's it. I don't think Black Panther has joined at this point. I'm not sure who else is in it. Oh, and Reed Richards and Black Bolt, the leader of the Inhumans. There have been other versions of the Illuminati, so that's why I got confused for a second. I apologize. Anyways, The first issue shows basically the fallout of the events of the Skrull War and the Skrulls planning to attack Earth again. And what happens is this Illuminati team, this team that has formed together because they think that they're the smartest people on the world, arguably they are, and they have decided to basically show up to the Skrull homeworld and be like, "Yo, it's ours. You know, fuck off. This is your only warning. If you try to fuck with us again, you're gonna get messed with." Obviously, it doesn't go over the way they want. They try to flee. Bad things happen. They end up being captured for who knows how long. Experiments are done on them. Uh, Up to this point, also, it's worth noting that the Skrulls and Reed Richards have a relationship. There's a lot of stuff where the very first time you even see the Skrulls is in a Fantastic Four comic way back in a long time, and it basically ends with Reed Richards turning three Skrulls into cows and making them forget that they are Skrulls, so they just think they're cows. And that ends up coming up in the Skrull War. Anyways, they hate Reed Richards and they know that Reed Richards is smarter than them. So at this point in the Illuminati, um, they basically capture Reed Richards and are running a bunch of experiments on him. Long story short, Iron Man escapes. They free everyone. They kill a bunch, just an absolute shit ton of Skrulls eating away. They think, all right, we survived somehow, and the Skrulls are happy because they got what they needed. Fast forward, tons of stuff happens. Michael Bendis is writing so many Avengers comics. He's basically paving the way for what the universe is supposed to be. His Avengers run is arguably one of the better ones. And Civil War happens, and now we're at Secret Invasion. You find that there is at least one Skrull posing as a villain, Elektra, and you have no idea who else is a Skrull or what's going on. Iron Man just knows, he lets everyone in on it. He just knows that they're here. They could be anyone. We cannot detect them, and they're more powerful than they ever have been. And this is the Cold War aspect of it. It's not a full frontal assault like any other events, like any other war. They have the Skrulls ever since pre-Skrull War have been planning, infiltrating, manipulating, and on top of all that, the heroes don't even know if they themselves are Skrulls because you can change the memories of Skrulls so that they think they are who they say they are. Like in the Illuminati, you actually find out that Black Bolt isn't Black Bolt. He is a Skrull also, and when Professor X reads his mind, he only reads the memories that Black Bolt would have. He didn't know until he was activated that he was a Skrull and he wasn't Black Bolt. So it's a very scary time. All right, so we're gonna start the actual Secret Invasion storyline. Like I said, I didn't read any of the tie-ins. I highly suggest you go back if you like it, but I don't think anything in it, even the Mighty Avengers or New Avengers storylines, are needed to really appreciate the story. So let's just get into it. Starts off, like I said, with the fallout of the initiative that has the Elektra Skrull. Tony brings the Elektra Skrull to, headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. because he now runs S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury is gone. He is said to be missing or dead, but no one really knows what happened. There was no body. Maria Hill is also like the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Tony's basically in charge of everything, right? Tony brings this Earl body to Reed Richards and Hank Pym, two of the smartest people on the planet. Basically, is like, yo, the thing isn't that it's a Skrull. The thing is that we can't detect the Skrulls. And you find out, like, dissect this thing and find out exactly what it is that is cloaking us, our technology, Professor X's ability to read their minds, even Logan's sense of smell. Like it's just completely undetectable what's going on. He gets a call that a Skrull ship, a lone Skrull ship, has crash landed in the Savage Lands. He calls Jessica Drew, who is Spider Woman, one of his main like go tos. Actually, we haven't seen her in a while in the comics, but I love that they brought her back. I haven't read any of the Mighty Avengers leading up to this, but it seems like she's his right hand man, right? She goes behind his back, though, and calls up Luke Cage and the Secret Avengers and tells them, hey, I trust you more than I trust Iron Man. A Skrull ship has crash landed. We know some weird stuff's going on with the Skrulls, and you go check it out. Luke Cage is on some, like, well, why the fuck should I do what you're, telling me to do? But they really hate Iron Man, so they're doing this sort of as a fuck you to him. Anyways, you also have it's so weird because it's so weird because it seems like there's multiple leaders of Shield because Dum Dum Dugan is also like a leader director of Shield or something like that. And early on in the story, he meets Valentina Del Fontaine. She has like fucking Huntessa, whatever. Her name's super long, right? She's apparently an old friend of Dum Dum Dugan and Nick Fury from the olden days. They're both like, hey, where's Nick Fury? They meet on his boat or something. Anyways, she ends up being a Skrull, kills him, and takes his form, and now is going to be patrolling as Dum Dum Dugan, who apparently is the highest ranking officer in S.H.I.E.L.D., even though Maria Hill also exists and Iron Man. So I don't understand the whole, you know, uh, hierarchy of Shield, let's say. Anyways, Dum Dum Dugan, who now is a Skrull, goes on to S.W.O.R.D's head base, which is led by Abigail Brand. She's the chick that always wears green and has green hair. I don't think she's a mutant, but she has the ability to learn every single language. Like even she knows how to speak Kree and Skrull and like every single language that has ever existed. I don't think that it's a power. I think she's just a smart, like badass chick. Anyways, so there's a lot of stuff happening. This is all like first issue stuff, right? You find out just as Hank Pym, or just as Reed Richards finds out why they're undetectable, why the Skrulls are undetectable, Hank Pym turns around and is like, oh, well, we can't have that, and shoots him and basically turns Reed Richards into like liquefied puddle goo, right? So Hank Pym also is a Skrull. Additionally, you have Dum Dum Dugan, Drum Dugan. I don't know his name. It's a very weird name to say. I apologize. Anyways, he on S.W.O.R.D infects the whole base with an alien virus that basically makes the entire, you know, everything in S.W.O.R.D, everything in Shield, all of Stark's tech completely inoperable. An alien virus that shuts down all communications, all satellites, everything. Like shit is going down. The like he suicide bombs the actual base and destroys the entire S.W.O.R.D base. S.W.O.R.D, in case you weren't sure, is basically Shield but space. It's the first line of defense against any extraterrestrial threats. So of course, if you're going to be manning a extraterrestrial invasion of Earth, you're going to want to take out its first line of defenses. Additionally, you have Jessica Drew with Jarvis. Jessica Drew takes off so that she can go to the Savage Lands along with Iron Man, along with the Secret Avengers, and you find out that Jarvis, the butler of Avengers Mansion, also is a Skrull, as he is like infecting the super virus into Avengers Mansion. So a lot is going on. Anyways, Secret Avengers, normal Avengers, all these people show up to the Savage Lands to find this ship, and they open it up, and what do they find? A bunch of superheroes. Not just a bunch of superheroes, but a bunch of the missing superheroes, like Thor, who hasn't been around in a while, Captain America, who was just killed, Mockingbird, who was the wife of Cliff Barton, Clint Barton, Hawkeye. She's on there. Sue Storm, the wife of Reed Richards, who has also been missing. is on there, and there's a whole like every single one of them are saying that the Avengers we just read go to Savage Lands are the Skrulls. And so no one entrusts anyone. And actually, Ares is there, who's the god of war, god. He sort of replaces Thor when Thor takes off around now. Anyways, he's like, this is a trap. Like 100% this is a trap. They want us to fight each other so that way we can get all mixed up. And then when we go home, we don't know who's who. Like, I'm 100% telling you, I'm the god of war. I know how wars work. Take the fuck off. Don't take the bait. Like, this is a trap. Of course, Luke Cage and Spider Man and all these fucking idiots are like, oh, well, I'm going to fight them anyways. And a huge fight between Avengers takes off, and they don't. They get all muddled up and they don't know who's who for a second. While this battle is taking place, the virus that Jarvis has invented Avengers Mansion with also affects Tony Stark. I think that the Warren Ellis run where Extremis happens, where Iron Man basically has to invent himself with technology, and that's what kind of helps him be the ruler of the world because he's like literally linked into satellites. He doesn't have to have the suit because like he is the suit now, right? I think that has happened, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, the alien virus that cripples basically all technology also affects him. Not just his suit, but him in general. He becomes super sick. It's not that's why I think that extremis has happened, is it doesn't make sense as to why he's so sick. But anyways, he's basically off the map and he's kind of like losing his mind a little bit. I think Captain Marvel pulls him out of there and drops him at an old base that was a new Avengers base in the Savage Land so that he can try to fix himself using the old materials that were there. But he's kind of like off the map. The rest of the heroes, they're all fighting each other. Not It's worth mentioning also that not only were all the Avengers that were on the Skrull ship that escaped, that in their minds they were captive and they escaped of their own volition. Not all of them are just the people who are dead. There's also a version of Luke Cage. There's also a version of Clint Barton. So there is some like, well, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck am I? Anyways, as the fighting is going on, a couple people die. A T Rex shows up as one does, and like Mockingbird sees, or Mockingjay, whatever her name is, sees her Clint Barton, who is her husband's, die, and he is a Skrull, and she's basically like, I'm not a Skrull though. I'm telling you, not all of us were Skrulls. And our Clint Barton, the one that we know is not a Skrull, who now is a Ronin. I don't remember why that happened. He basically is like, leave my wife alone. Like Wolverine's gonna go kill her, and Clint Barton's like, you don't fuck with her. I don't care. It's my mistake to make. I'm telling you, she's my wife. And I mean, that's just foreshadowing. Hawkeye's fucking retarded. Anyways, so they're fighting each other, and at the same time, you have Abigail Brand out in space. Now, the S.W.O.R.D base might have blown up, but her and a couple other people have like personal shields that will keep them alive in space. She notices after the base blows up that a whole armada of Skrull ships show up, and she kind of like floats through space and gets herself onto one of the ships. Coincidentally, that ship happens to be also where Reed Richards is being held and experimented on. And when Abigail Brand uh, kills a bunch of the Skrull and frees him, he is not normal Reed Richards. He is pissed. He's so fucking overly pissed. Like, he actually chokes out her immediately and is like killing a bunch of Skrulls. And she ends up waking up. And it's like, oh, I ran a quick DNA test. Don't worry, you're not a Skrull. Not even like an I'm sorry or anything. As even when he chokes her out, he assumes she's a Skrull, and he even makes it kind of like, oh, weird she didn't turn back to her normal form. He, because of the experiments on Elektra's body, or Skrull Elektra's body, he knows how to force Skrulls into becoming Skrulls. Again, you know what I mean? Uh, he builds basically a gun that does that with the help of Abigail Brand, is able to come back to Earth and shoot it at all the other heroes that are in the Savage Lands, revealing who's actually Skrulls and who's not. Of course, Mockingbird is a Skrull, and Hawkeye Hlinbarn kills the woman who looks like his wife, and he is like, we have to kill every single one of them. Additionally, now this isn't something that I would normally think matters, but it does by the end of the story. The Thunderbolts are also in this. Now, the Thunderbolts themselves don't matter. It's basically, if you don't know the Thunderbolts, it was a Zemo team, and they've changed hands multiple times. Anyways, Norman Osborn, who is the Green Goblin, as a businessman, has taken over the Thunderbolts and basically takes some supervillains like Venom or Dragon or who knows who else, and basically uses them as mercenaries throughout the world and makes money off of it. While all of the heroes are being attacked on different levels, there's even like a Skrull invasion happening in New York that the Young Avengers have to fight with. I don't think that they're all that important to the story, but that's what they're doing. That's brought up a couple times. Thunderbolt's mansion or mountain is attacked by Captain Marvel. Not Captain Marvel, Harold Danvers, but Marvel, the actual Kree warrior superhero. And Norman Osborn, as Green Goblin, kind of like talks him into not attacking them. As he's like, I understand what it means to have two voices inside your head. I understand what it means to like not know if you're supposed to be pink or green. Like, and sort of talks him down from being a sleeper cell agent sent here to kill. As he's like, I was ordered to be here. Like, I don't want to be here because he's been portraying Marvel this whole time, and Marvel is a truly good, like really good person, or Kree, that he has conflicting conscious about killing all these people. Yeah, so basically, Norman Osborn, while everyone's attacking and fighting all these Skrulls, is able to outsmart the Skrulls, convincing Marvel to go on a suicide run and kill as many of the Kree or the Skrull ships, the whole armada, and just destroy all of them basically. And he dies in the process. Another thing that's worth mentioning is a lot of the Skrull say stuff like "He loves you." He loves you. Like when they're about to kill someone, he loves you, and it's very weird and very off-putting. Later on, you find out that who they're referring to is God. Like so the and there's no God, right? Actually, when that happens, Thor's there, and I think Nick Fury says something like, "My God only only carries a hammer." You know, pretty fun stuff. Um, I know I just said Nick Fury as earlier. I said he was missing. Basically, when the Young Avengers are fighting in New York versus a bunch of Skrulls, Nick Fury shows up with his Secret Avengers or whatever they're. Oh, there's too many teams in this one, and basically rescues the Young Avengers and brings them back to his secret base where he's been hiding. Is really not that important other than the fact that he's back and he's alive. Um, but yeah, there's just so many teams that are all forming. Like at this point, the Marvel universe is too fractured. I'm just flat out telling you, it's too fractured. There's too many teams. There's too many comics. So after Reed Richards has come back to the Savage Land with Abigail Brand takes whoever is still left in the Savage Lands and brings them to New York to fight the Skrull invasion that's happening there, along with Nick Fury, along with the Young Avengers. All this stuff's happening, right? But it's worth mentioning that Iron Man was left. He was left in that new Avengers base in the Savage Land to try to fix the virus that's happening to him. That's when Spider Woman shows up. Jessica Drew shows up, and it's very weird. Like she's very like hypersexualized. I mean, Spider Woman has always been hypersexualized, but she's like flirting with Iron Man and you find out that she is a Skrull as well, you know, but she's telling Tony that he is also a Skrull, and he doesn't believe it. And she's like, "This is your name. Like you signed up for this mission a long time ago. You wanted your memories erased so that would be the most efficient, and like it's time for you to come home and finally realize it." And Tony's like, "No, I'm not Skrull. Fuck you." But she's like, thinking about it. Why would you have betrayed your friends? Why would you have wanted Captain America killed? Why would you have been able to take over the entire world and betray everything that you hold dear? It's because you're not you, because you're a Skrull, and we helped you every step of the way. Uh, I did get my timeline stuff actually. Reed Richards has not come down to show everyone that there's Earl as when this happens. Uh, Iron Man very clearly is not a Earl, so I do apologize. I got the order of events mixed up a little bit. Anyways, but the most important part of this is not whether or not Tony is a Skrull. Is Jessica Drew is going through a bit monologue saying that you have already lost. The point isn't whether or not this person's a Skrull or that person's a Skrull. You've already done so much to destroy your own trust. You know, it like there's actually a shot of like Nick Fury uh trying to heal Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel being sort of given to the wolves. It's a very weirdly dark scene where she's like hurt, and then a bunch of Skrulls are just like manhandling her and stuff. Very gross, if I'm being honest. Anyways, and as she's giving this monologue, she's basically saying that it doesn't matter. Like, your lives are over, your lives are forfeit because humans inherently don't trust each other, and that's the war. We knew we couldn't come here with a full frontal assault. You'll always rally, you'll always team up. But taking all those different Avengers teams that already don't trust each other and piling on the fact that they might be not even undercover agents, but might be sleeper cell agents for the Skrull, is deteriorating the army from within. And that's really the coolest part about the Secret Invasion storyline. So, like I said, you have Nick Fury, you have the Young Avengers, you have whatever's left of the Initiative, all in New York fighting the real invasion of Skrulls that are all a bunch of new Super Skrulls. So, if you don't remember, the Super Skrull was one guy who was an experiment by the Skrulls to be given the powers of all four Fantastic Four people. Like, he had super strength, like the thing, he could, shoot fire, he could turn invisible, right? what what they did when the Illuminati originally showed up at the Skrull homeworld to sort of flex, and then they got captured, they basically took the DNA of Reed Richards and took his mind, so that way they find out how to not be detectable. But on top of that, they also took all the powers they could from Doctor Strange, so now the Skrulls can use magic. They took the mind powers of Charles Xavier and the mutant genome, so that way the Skrulls can now all have, mutant powers. They don't just look like Wolverine, they have the adamantium skeleton and claws. They don't just look like Jean Grey, they also have psychic abilities. Basically, now the Skrulls can do everything that anyone on Earth, any superhero on Earth can do. So you have a whole army of basically evil versions of all the Avengers versus, you know, every Avengers team all coming together. And it's actually really beautiful if it wasn't for how it ends. And we'll get to that in a second. I apologize. You have, the Secret Avengers, you have the Mighty Avengers, you have the Initiative, you have the Young Avengers, then you have, Luke Cage and Reed Richards and Iron Man. They all come to New York, and there's just this big climatic battle between them. And there's a standoff where Jessica Drew, you find out, is the queen of the Skrulls. Now, if you read the Kree-Skrull War, you would be like, Queen? Who the fuck is this Queen? And she's brought up later. I don't know the exact name. Most importantly, though, is the Queen Skrull, the Jessica Drew, who now looks exactly like a Skrull, is still alive, and all these news networks are around. The Skrulls are losing. They're getting rounded up, they're getting killed, and everything. But she's the icon that everyone knows is the Queen Skrull, and they all try to go and attack her. But out of everyone, it's Norman Osborn that shoots and kills her on national television. They mark that it's the shot seen around the world, right? And this causes the fallout of Secret Invasion, right? So they kill the Queen, all the Skrulls are wrapped up. They end up finding a ship that has all the real Earthling prisoners. They sort of have an offhand, like, oh, why didn't they kill them? Well, it's because they needed their genetic code for further experiments or something like that, right? You find the real Jessica Drew. You find the real Hank Pym. You find the real Mockingbird, who's actually still alive. Sue Storm. Everyone's still alive, and they get to come home, and it's beautiful. There's situations though where it's like you have, well, Janet's dead, so Hank Pym as Yellow Jacket, he's gonna go down a dark spiral after this. But you have like Jessica Drew talking to Harold Danvers, being like, "Oh, I'm home. Like, isn't that cool?" And everyone's looking at her suspiciously, and it creates this distrust. Like, even though the Avengers have won, what did they really win? Is at the end of the day, people still don't trust them. Which leads to the final part: is that Iron Man is no longer in charge. The Avengers are gone. Shield is gone. Like, no one trusts anyone anymore. Even the Secret Avengers are disbanded. Basically, all these massive teams are all gone now. And Norman Osborn, because he was the one who was the shot seen around the world, is put in charge of a new order by the president. Now, it doesn't tell you what happens. The only thing that you see is that he then walks into a back room where there's Doctor Doom, Loki, Mephisto. I don't remember who is all there, but it's a bunch of villains, and he basically says, "All right, this is how it's gonna work," and that leads into the next run of comics. Basically, yeah, um, Secret Invasion ends a lot of the Avengers books. They don't proceed past this part. But then the Dark Avengers starts, and that's where it goes from there. I might do an episode. Is it Dark Avengers is so good? It's Norman Osborn as the Iron Patriot, and he basically creates a team of villains to do villainous acts in front of everyone's eyes. And basically, yeah, the distrust caused by Secret Avengers allows basically the world government to hand the keys over to villains as they trust them more than our superheroes anymore. So it's a really good run. That's where the comics sort of go after that. But that is it. That is Secret Invasion. So now you understand why it's such a monumentous, iconic story, and why they're going to continue to do those stories in the Marvel comic universe as well as the MCU. We know that Secret Invasion will be a mini series on Disney Plus. We really don't know anything about it other than Amelia Clark is attached to it. Everyone assumes that Amelia Clark will be uh, Varanhi, the queen, the zealot queen of the Skrull, terrorist group. But I'm actually interested on whether or not they're going to make her Sue Storm. Like, as it's not, no one knows who she is. No one knows what Secret Invasion is going to be about. I feel that the MCU is doing something really different with the Skrulls, so I have no idea. Like, it's definitely not going to be the story I just told you, right? But I'm very interested to see what it is. It could be really cool. Anyways, there you go. As far as the future, we know that, aside from Dark Avengers, we do know that the Skrulls appear again in Empire, which is sort of the the next chapter. If you have Skrull War, then Secret Invasion, you have Celestial Madonna, you have it leads into, well, the Young Avengers also all leads into Empire. Maybe I'll do an episode one day. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you liked this episode. Thank you all for listening and paying attention. And if you have any recommendations for stories you want me to do an atrocious retelling of, just let me know. All right, I will catch you guys next time.